welcome to episode 6 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
And this week we watched the 1986 absolute masterpiece, Chopping Mall. It still has a lower Rotten Tomatoes score than Nudist Colony of the Dead somehow.
The fuck? It's gonna be our ongoing thing, right? For the rest,
I'm starting...
the rest of the podcast. We're just Nudist Colony of the Dead is the audience measuring stick.
I'm checking everything now because it's like I'm waiting for I want to see what movie has a higher
What's
score.
gonna topple it?
Do what?
If Chopping Mall can't topple it, what the hell could possibly knock off
This is
City or whatever, Nudist Colony of the Dead?
I think this was like 5% below Nudist Colony.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. So, Chopping Mall is the first one we have both actually seen before. Because you'd seen Abominable. I don't think any of either of us had seen Bait or like Nudist Colony or Island Claws.
Yeah.
So the plot of this movie is essentially 18
Murderbots.
Yeah, Killbots, which was the original title of it. 8 quote-unquote teenagers, because they're all easily in their like late 20s.
Oh yeah.
Are trapped in a mall after hours with high-tech security robots that are supposed to be guarding the mall that now is actually a real thing, except they haven't murdered a bunch of people yet.
Yeah. It's the key.
I can't wait for that. They all kind of look like fat versions of Johnny Five from Short Circuit.
I was trying to figure out what it was. I think that's it.
So the director...
him and Alpha 5 had a weird robot child.
Well, it's also like every movie with a robot always has to get struck by lightning, which is what turns them alive, and then...
Lightning's some evil shit, man.
Well, apparently that's what happened in this one. Chopping Mall was directed by Jim Wynorski, who also has over 150 other movies, and they are all amazing. I wrote down a handful.
Can we run through some of his porn?
Oh yeah, I got a couple of them on here, but
yes.
The most important one was The Return of the Swamp Thing, because that movie is super good. But he also did a Sorority House Massacre 2, the Bear Wench Project Trilogy, Cleavage Field, The Devil Wears Nada, The Hills Have Thighs, which is a genius title.
I've seen The Hills Have Thighs, actually.
Oh, God, I don't want to know.
Podcast confessions.
Dino Croc versus Super Gator.
I've seen that too, which is more embarrassing to admit than Hills Have Thighs.
Piranaconda. Cobra Gator, which is coming up in 2019. I'm assuming these are all sci-fi movies.
Yep.
And then the greatest title that I came across, which was Sharkansas Women Prisons Massacre. Like, at least 3/4 of his directing credits are like weird, what I can only imagine are like softcore porn parodies. I'm very intrigued by Cleavage Field.
Was he the one who did Lord of the G-Strings?
I don't think so. I don't remember coming across that. I highly suggest looking him up on IMDb, because
it's a fascinating dive.
It's like I'm ready to just basically abandon this podcast to start a new one where we just watch all of his movies.
Just watch his movies. We'd be running for weekly for 3 years.
Oh,
run out of stuff.
And like at the rate he seems to keep going, like I said, he's got a new one coming out in 2019. I think he just does all these sci-fi movies that are just weird creatures mixed together, like Piranaconda and shit. There was one that was like
fucking Sharktopus changed the sci-fi movie landscape forever.
I think he had one called Camel Spiders.
I've seen that too.
Oh,
wow, I've watched some dog shit.
I imagine Camel Spiders is awesome though.
Quality film.
So this movie, I did not realize that Barbara Crampton was in it until this watch. This was like my third time seeing it, and for whatever reason, I never like put together like her character and like Reanimator.
Right.
And apparently she was in You're Next as well, which I also didn't realize.
I watched You're Next last night, and I was like, oh shit, that's Barbara Crampton. So I did the same thing.
That movie is fucking amazing.
I watched it through my wolf mask that I have.
Was that what was on your Instagram story or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. I need to rewatch that movie. I watched it a while. It also,
borrow a wolf mask to watch it through.
Yeah, go ahead and mail me that.
Let me know.
It also stars Nick Segal, who was in Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, which fucking rules. And then Russell Todd, who was in Friday the 13th Part 2. And then I think the main character, like the nerdy girl that like survives the movie, is Kelly Maroney, but I don't think she was in anything super like interesting. I tried to write down mostly people that had like kind of crossover horror stuff.
I think the most important person, he isn't in the movie long, but he's wonderful, is Garrett Graham. He played Stanley in Terror Vision, and he was Bud the Chud in Chud 2. And I want to say he was the dad in Child's Play 2.
Interesting. I don't know if I made it that far down like the cast list.
He's the technician in the room. It was like the very first kill. And I was like, okay. I know that guy. That's Stanley from Terror Vision.
I would say there was like a lot of like weird things, like the two people in the opening scene that are kind of commenting on the robot are like the same characters that I forgot to write down, but they're playing their characters from Eating Raoul. And then the janitor that gets killed is a guy named Dick Miller, who is playing his character from A Bucket of Blood. So this movie's got like a lot of like weird
cinematic universe.
Yeah, well, I guess like the director is like a protege of Roger Corman's, which is why what was the movie they were watching? The Ferdy and the girl, like I can't remember her name at the moment. The nerdy girl, the two like kind of that survive, are watching that movie while the rest of the couples are just off fucking in the store. But it's a Roger Corman movie. So there's just like, and then like inexplicably, like one of my notes is like they're at that like pizza restaurant in that one scene, and I'm like, why are there sci-fi and horror posters all over this restaurant? This is real weird.
My kind of pizza place.
Yeah, like I don't think that's something that like I never noticed in one of my first watches. With like, there's just like a shit ton of posters all over this shopping mall. Okay, yeah, that's all I had for the cast, but this movie has some phenomenal taglines that I wrote down. Let's see. Where shopping can cost you an arm and a leg. Chopping Mall.
That's good.
Chopping Mall, where they slash their prices and their customers. Very simple, buy or die. And at Park Plaza Mall, the security force isn't just tight, it's terrifying.
God damn it.
I fucking love
that
the
one's
80s.
So dumb.
That's my favorite one. I don't know why like taglines for these movies just like always make me laugh, because they're always super terrible, but kind of awesome.
What's fascinating is they always have like 6 different taglines.
Oh, there's so many of them, because it's just like every poster seems to have their own tagline.
Yeah, it's not like a concentrated marketing campaign, you know?
Yeah, you gotta have every
back
poster.
in the day, you didn't have the one thing that had to be a hashtag, so you can go with buy or die or whatever the hell.
I would definitely would have went with like the security force isn't just tight, it's terrifying, because that just like it doesn't even make sense. Like it doesn't work together.
No, that doesn't sell me on that movie at all. Now, you know, costing you an arm and a leg, and you're calling your movie Chopping Mall, I'm in.
Which also, like, the slashing their prices and their customers, nobody gets slashed in this movie. Everybody gets shot with lasers and shit.
Yeah, everyone gets laser beamed.
Ugh,
I guess that one guy gets throat slit.
Does it? Yeah, I guess they just don't show it, though.
Yeah. One slash.
Yeah.
I give this one slash out of, like, 6.
I'm gonna go ahead and just still assume it was done with a laser. This movie would have been infinitely more amazing if it just had like a robot just roaming around with like a knife in its hand, like a switchblade.
When I first saw the cover, like the bag with the like body parts and shit in it or whatever, I thought the Killbots were gonna have like an assortment of like saw blades and all types of cutlery, and I was way more excited for that Killbot.
I was like the first time I watched this movie, it was one of those ones where I think I just had it on and was not totally paying attention. I would just periodically like look up if shit was happening. And then the second time, like, I legitimately watched it and like fell in love with it because it's just like completely ridiculous. Like this is like a peak bad good or like good bad movie, because it's like really it's not a good movie, but it's just fucking rules because it's like super 80s. It's got these like ridiculous looking robots that like all of the actors and actresses in it are like that quality of like completely unlikable, but you also kind of want to keep watching them. Like the dude that plays Michael or whatever, like the guy that's always chewing gum, I'm just like, I fucking hate this dude, but like I kind of don't want him to die yet.
It also has some really ridiculous key plot points. Like a bunch of the people that work there are just like, hey, let's just stay in the mall after hours and we'll all fuck, our girlfriends, and that's the whole setup for them being there for robots to murder them.
Yeah, they pretty much just decide that they're going to have this party after hours.
In a furniture store.
And like they all, or at least 2 of the 3 couples, are just fucking in like the beds of this department store or like a couch, while the 2 like nerds just kind of sit and watch some like
Roger Corman movies.
Yeah, that apparently was just coming in through antenna TV back then.
Amazing reception in that mall.
Oh, it was Attack of the Crab Monsters. That's what they're watching, because I was just like, we should have watched this instead of Island Claws, because this looks like
a much better crab movie.
Infinitely more interesting.
Certainly more crabs. More menacing crabs.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've actually seen that movie, and it is goofy as shit, because it's like one of those like 50s...
Oh yeah,
crab
50 style monster movie.
Where like you just kind of like constant, like for some reason like those movies either pulled an Island Claws where they would like never show you the creature, or they would just like the opening scene, they're like, bam, here's the fucking monster, watch this shit for an hour.
It doesn't kill anyone, it just kind of moves menacingly, but...
Yeah, it looks fucking terrible, but you're gonna be scared of it anyway. So, this movie opens up with a super sweet jewelry theft that you find out is a commercial for the Killbots, the Protectors 101 series.
Capitalism.
Yeah. And like my favorite part about this scene is that they show the thief that's like stealing the jewels running, and it is the goofiest fucking run I've ever seen. Like,
looks like he's running with like his underwear around his ankles.
Yeah, it's
like,
real weird.
Those kind of stuttered steps.
Like he's like all like his legs are just like splayed too far as he's running. It's real weird. Like every time I've seen this movie, that's like the first thing I notice is this dude's running, and it just kind of looks like he shit his pants in the middle of running from these robots.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess. But
these Killbots.
A robot running after me, telling me to have a nice day. You see, or it cuts from like, you see this scene and then you realize it's a commercial, and it cuts to a bunch of people sitting in the mall watching a oh fuck, what's the
like,
word?
Like a demonstration or like a presentation,
a sales pitch, presentation of them, showing everybody these security robots that are going to start like roaming the malls after hours. There'd be like I think 3 of them, so there's supposed to be like 1 each floor.
Yeah,
and there's a couple in the scene that are commenting the entire time that I said were the couple from the movie Eating Raoul. But like they keep cutting back and forth to them. Shit, fucking chair was running all over the cord. They cut back and forth to them, kind of commenting, just saying like dumb, goofy shit. But one of the lines was the robot in the middle, or like the one in the middle, has an unpleasant ethnic quality. So we managed. I
thought we were gonna escape racism this week, but god damn it!
I feel like
It was about a robot.
The more and more we're gonna watch 80s movies, I think we're gonna realize there's probably like shitty racial lines in every single one of them.
Luckily, that was it. No one chased around a bunch of Haitians in this.
Fucking no Juan 2, Judge Reinhold, and
still gets me.
I'm gonna bring it up every episode now. It's just gonna be our new running thing. So basically, like the entire opening scene is just like this guy pitching these robots, and then it goes to the credits, which has the greatest soundtrack of all time.
It's stupid good.
Like,
you had texted me about it the other day, and I watched it this morning. And man, it's just a next level soundtrack. It's really good.
I immediately like downloaded it because I forgot how good it was, and it wasn't like streaming on anything. So that's like pretty much all I've been listening to since yesterday. Like I think the soundtrack to Demons, which we're doing next week, is probably my favorite, like Goblins soundtrack to it. But this one's pretty far up there. It's super like cheesy 80s synth. It's real good.
Just a really like driving, like forward moving score.
It works really well with this movie. Because it's like really isn't like a horror movie per se. It's more of just like an action movie with these killer robots. So there's like this cool like 80s kind of poppy, but like not super poppy, but like upbeat still soundtrack to it. It rules. And you get a super cool 80s mall montage of like
required by law.
Just like kids skateboarding through the mall, super Saved by the Bell, and then like you see a bunch of like bikini models with their sashes walking through for some fucking reason.
Going down the escalator.
Yeah,
it's like
a bunch of ass shots of these models. It's pretty peak 80s. It's awesome. And you pretty much after like once after the credits you start meeting all of the main characters, the 8 quote unquote teenagers, because Barbara Crampton was at least in her 20s when this was made, and whoever plays Michael was like 40.
I would say some of them were like mid-30s at least.
It's like when you watch like Saved by the Bell, where I'm like, okay, all of these kids are like at least like close to the age. Like they're like, if they're playing 16, they're probably like 18. But yet like Elizabeth Berkley and Mario Lopez both look like they're 40 the entire time they're in the show. That's what like every teenager in the 80s looks like to me. I'm like, you all like they all just have this giant like mom hair. And
they matured so fast in the 80s.
It's so weird. I don't know what it is about like seeing characters in movies from the 80s, but they all look infinitely older than they're supposed to be playing. But I legitimately think all of these, well, at least most of these characters were definitely not teenagers. They all look like they were like mid-20s at the earliest. I have a feeling this is another one that we will probably not remember anybody's names because
no,
none of it's.
I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I forget my name half the time.
I'm always like, I should write down the names next to like the casting, in it, but I just never do. And I always have like 2 people that I remember just because it's either like Michael,
Judge Reinhold.
Well, yeah, that I'm never gonna forget the names of anybody in Nudist Colony. Fucking
burned into my brain.
Ranger Big Butts and Fanny
Wipes.
I mean, I remembered Michael because, like, you hear his name a million times, and he's just the dude chewing gum throughout the entire fucking movie, or like the entire time he's there. But you, as you're getting all this character development, is you go to the pizza place that has a fuck ton of like
pizza,
yeah, and sci-fi and horror movie posters, which the ones you can actually make out were for Forbidden World, The Slumber Party Massacre, The Lost Empire, Barbarian Queen, and Screwballs.
Stone Cold classics,
and I think
all of them.
One of them's like in a bathroom or something at like the department store. It's fucking. I wish malls were like that now. And like most of this stuff, like, is just there so you get like the basic idea of like, oh, these two are dating, this guy's the nerd, this guy's like the jock. So you get this kind of a bunch of about like 10 minutes of that, and then you cut to the I guess what would be scientist watching
like
over the robots.
The technicians.
Yeah.
Robotech.
Who is like reading some kind of porn, and lightning starts to show up and
violently.
Yeah. Which you actually get like that outside shot of the mall, and that mall looks fucking massive.
Yes.
And this,
I don't know how 3 murder bots, kill bots, are gonna patrol the whole thing.
Interesting fact, this was also the same mall from Commando.
Holy shit, really?
I guess they were like going to be like, they either did or were supposed to shoot at the same time, where like Commando was shooting during the day and
Chopping Mall at night.
Chopping Mall was all like at night.
Are Commando and Chopping Mall shared universe?
I wish. It'd be fucking amazing if you just saw like Arnold in the background of a shot.
He just grabs one of the killbots to take with him to fight Bennett.
I think this was the same mall as Fast Times at Ridgemont High was the other one I remember reading.
Mall's doing business.
Yeah. I guess during that time, like, just allowing people to shoot in your malls was very profitable. But I thought, like, Commando one was the best one, because then, like I said, I just wanted to see, like, that crossover movie.
Absolutely. Commando vs. Chopping Mall. Sci-fi. 2019.
So I just read my next note, and I can't remember exactly where it comes in, but it's making me laugh. You get lightning strikes, and all of a sudden these killbots just become self-aware and have these ridiculous like head turns where they're acknowledging each other and like plotting back and forth behind the scientist, like looking at his porn magazine.
Robot technology was pretty good in the 80s.
Yeah, apparently. Like, the entire time, every time I've watched this, all I could think about when I see these robots, at least like the I guess they're like eye visors, is just like Kit from Knight Rider.
Yep.
And so they are like, they become self-aware, for whatever reason decide that they need to kill this scientist by puncturing his porn magazine and like punching him in the fucking throat or some shit.
R.I.P. Garrett Graham.
Yeah, he like him, and I think do they show exactly what happens to him? I can't remember. I don't know, like, they just like show like the punch go through, and then there's the next thing.
Yeah, they show like whatever puncturing like the back of his neck, and then they kind of yank him back, right. And that's the last you see of him. And then he became Bud Chud.
Okay, I remember what this fucking note was from. They cut to like the scene of Barbara Crampton's character and Kelly Maroney's character kind of like discussing going out or whatever, like going like to this party at like the department store with their 6 friends. And for whatever reason, one of them delivers the line, "Fuck the fuchsia, it's Friday." And
It's a really good line.
That's my new fucking life motto.
Make that a bumper sticker.
And I think you also get like, when Barbara Crampton and Mike go to whatever the department store is that her dad works in or owns. Yeah. An insane Monopoly display in the front. That like
what? Why would you have a Monopoly display?
Well, it's a bunch of clothes, but set up where there's like a dude behind jail cells that like, and you see like Broadway, like a there's actual like giant like it's crazy. And I can only assume that has to have been a real thing in that mall. Like I can't imagine.
Let's watch Commando and we'll see if Arnold like runs past the same store and has that same Monopoly setup.
Well, there's a bunch of shots too that like you'll see in this where they'll be filming stuff on like the first floor, and you'll see people like walking by upstairs. So like totally ruining, like if you're paying attention, like ruining the idea that this mall is supposed to be empty. So basically all this like bullshit's happening to where you get to the point where they're at the party and get locked into the mall. Yeah, quote unquote party.
Furniture store party, department store party.
I wrote this party seems real lame.
Department store.
I don't remember what this line was for either, but it just says, "You got a license for that outfit?" There's some
reference to one of the Monopoly things, probably.
There are some peak quotes in this movie, like super 80s quotes. It rules. This is like probably like I think like Bait. I remember being like, people should watch this. It's bad, but it's good. This movie everybody needs to watch. Like this movie is
absolutely
a classic.
It's required viewing.
And especially, like, if you're paid for Amazon Prime and you can watch it for free, like, what are you doing? Watch this shit every day. So, they're partying. Two of the couples are just flat out, like, fucking on furniture people are going to be buying, I'm assuming. While, like, Ferdy and... Because Ferdy is, first, the worst name I've ever heard.
What an awful name. Whose name they're called Ferdy?
Well,
that's not a real name.
There's a reason he's like the nerd of the group. And I wrote down this nerd couple are the only likable people in this movie.
Absolutely.
Then you get all their kind of like back and forth, just kind of dumb character development for a bunch of people that are going to die in like 10 minutes. But you get the scene with the janitor where the killbots are kind of out, finally roaming the mall. And the janitor is cleaning up what I can only assume is the biggest pile of puke I've ever seen. And has like a bucket full of it that the killbot knocks over into him.
I forget his name, but he's such a good character actor.
His name's Dick Miller, I think. This is the guy that was from
Bucket
of Blood. Yeah,
he's in Gremlins as the crazy neighbor who is racist. Damn it!
I think I started to like
Piranha, right.
Do what?
It's in Piranha also. Yeah. Original Piranha. Bunch of Joseph movies.
The one movie I was gonna write down because like I started to look into his like credits and I was like, there's just too much shit for this. I already had to dig through 150 for Jim Wynorski's like softcore porn movies.
His porn filmography.
But this is also the one time I can think of offhand that a character dies by getting electrocuted in puke.
I'd be hard pressed to find another example.
Like I guarantee there's definitely one out there, but
it's got to be. It's a weird world.
It's just.
Is there one that predates the 80s?
I just love how mad he is at this robot showing up and knocking this bucket over.
I would be too. That was so much puke. That's so much wasted effort.
Oh, I love it.
And get some goddamn mop bots in there.
And so these killbots are just kind of finally out, killing everybody in this mall, and like their basic programming is that they're supposed to like scan ID badges of everybody that works in that mall to make sure they're supposed to be there, or like they work there, or they're not like burglars, whatever. And they're obviously ignoring that because now they are self-aware, realize that human beings are garbage. And they also probably had to watch like Mike's character fuck Barbara Crampton with gum in his mouth, which upset me to no end.
It's called talent, Nathan. Okay.
Oh god, I don't know why. Like, they get done and he's just like chewing gum, and I'm like, oh, gross. That bummed me out so much. So, the scene that kind of brings the Killbots into our main characters' lives is Barbara Crampton's character is begging Mike to go get her some cigarettes, which I just, like, watching this made me remember there used to be cigarette machines everywhere, like cigarette vending machines. So
now it's just vape juice.
Fuck. I'm gonna be real bummed out if I ever see a vape juice vending machine. I'm sure they're out there, but I have not come across one yet.
It's just a store on every block.
But Mike goes out to find cigarettes in this mall, shirtless, because
why not?
He's jacked, so he's got to show off that body.
Extreme same fam.
This podcast is over.
We're done with this.
Break my mic and walk off. Mike is out there and comes like the Killbots come across, or at least one of them come across him, and he starts basically like telling it to fuck off, and it kills him, but off screen shoots it with a dart that puts him to sleep first, because they're at least apparently
humane.
Yeah, humane.
The
with
humane
him.
thing to do.
And he says a line that I can't remember what it was, but it's from I think maybe Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's like that fuck, what was it? I don't know, I can't remember offhand. He delivers
the whole ending speech from Blade Runner. So laying there, going to sleep in front of this Killbot.
Yeah.
Things you people wouldn't believe.
Like, he delivers the line that I thought was something that Ash says in Army.
Satu Rada Nick 2.
Yes, but it's like, it's from something else, because I wrote down just
They stood still.
That's what it was. I knew it was.
I know things sometimes.
not character names, but
no,
just
useless references.
Actually, important info we need, because I didn't write it down. So Mike gets killed. Barbara Crampton. No. Oh no, he wasn't with Barbara Crampton. I forget who the character he was with, because she gets killed off next. Barbara Crampton.
You guys, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of blonde ladies.
It's a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah. So Mike's girlfriend, that is not Barbara Crampton, goes looking for him, steps outside this department store, and comes across a Killbot that shoots her in the head.
Best death.
Oh, it rules. Shoots her in the head with the goofiest looking lasers imaginable.
Oh my god, and her head pops.
Yeah, it's like full on like scanners, but like with slightly less gore.
It's so violent looking, like just impact, and then like, wow, her head's gone.
It's awesome. And then my favorite part is during the credits when they're showing like the characters. That's the scene they show for her, and it just freeze frames on her exploding head.
The only exploding head scene better than that, other than Scanners. Scanners is like default number one. Yeah. Is Deadly Friend. Whenever the robot lady throws the basketball through her old neighbor's face.
I have not seen that movie, and Shane and somebody else have referenced it, where they're like, "You guys need to do this movie soon." And like they're constantly just like the mom from Throw Mama. Like they just keep referencing it to me as the mom from Throw Mama from the Train.
Yep.
As that gets her head exploded with a basketball.
A basketball.
Into it. Which after people told me that, like I know I've seen that scene in like probably like just horror documentaries.
Oh yeah.
Because like I saw that and like I saw like a GIF of it or whatever, and I was like, okay, I know that, but I don't think I've ever actually seen that movie.
I'm not gonna lie, that's the highlight of it, but the rest is pretty insane.
Yeah, I'm down to watch that whenever. I just got to see if it's streaming on anything. Let's see. Oh, I wrote down the quote that when like one of the couples is fucking, the girls just yells, "Oh God, you're the king."
Really weird.
Yeah.
Were they playing?
I think it's because like the department store was called like I think like Furniture King or something. Something like that. Because like somebody's dad owns it. It's all these kids I think only work in this mall because their parents own stores.
Naturally.
And so everybody sees this girl's head explode, and they immediately shut all of the department store doors or whatever, and like are freaking out. And the killbots, at least one of the other ones, shows up and they start like attacking them in the department store, and you start getting into the movie, like this movie where everything just starts going like batshit crazy with these robots. And they're just like shooting lasers wildly at these kids and missing everything like they're a fucking stormtrooper.
Not very efficient killbots.
Nobody in this movie has good aim.
The lightning fried their targeting systems also.
But
explained away.
One of the characters yells the line, "They're trying to French fry us," which is also another very good line. So they're getting attacked, and they come up with the plan of the girls are going to climb through the air ducts to get to the parking garage, I think. And the dudes are all just like, fuck it, we're going to go take these robots on and go to what I can only assume every mall in the 70s and 80s had, just based on my experience of this movie and Dawn of the Dead. It was a fully stocked, basically, armory store.
It's America.
Because this store had like a fucking machine gun that...
It was right next to the cigarette dispenser. They had an AR-15 dispenser.
They all basically just arm up like they're fucking Rambo.
This is where the Commando shooting came in handy. I was shooting at the same time. It was like, hey, could you guys leave the guns, like, whenever y'all are done?
It'd be amazing if they just did tell them and, like, they just left props and just used them at night while, like, Commando was off.
Someone's got Arnold's rocket launcher.
Yeah. Oh, God, I want to see this movie so bad where they just, like, cross over. So they're getting all these guns to kind of start bringing the fight to these killbots, which I think in the opening scene is announced that they are bulletproof because they shoot at least 1 million bullets throughout this movie, these stupid robots, to like no effect. And
you can't aim worth a shit, but they're very sturdy.
Yeah.
That's where all the R&D went.
And apparently the only thing that can ever hurt them is like fire or some shit for some reason, because it's just constantly something like
glass.
Yeah.
They get killed by glass later on. Spoiler alert.
So they're basically like shooting at these robots. They throw some sort of like aerosol type canister at one of them and shoot it, and it explodes. And basically just, like, knocks the robot over on its side. And one of them asks the question, like, what is that? And the one character says, robot blood.
That got a hearty chuckle from me.
Yeah.
He delivers it super straight faced. He's robot blood. Oh.
And so they just, immediately assume this robot's dead. Because, I guess, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It tipped over. All things just tip over, and that's the end.
And I think this is the point where Barbara Crampton's character, Susie, which I finally wrote her name down like halfway through this movie, is like freaking out in this air vent and decides that like she has to go back to make sure her man's alright.
That's a terrible mistake.
Yeah, so they all, like, she busts through like an air vent into a store, like some kind of just generic store that had like gas cans full of gasoline for some reason.
Malls in the 80s were wild.
I just think it was
just like slinging guns and gasoline.
80s malls were
cigarette dispensers.
The Wild West, where you could just sell fucking anything.
You want a live ocelot? We got it for you.
Here's this child we stole. Buy it.
Yeah.
And so they like take a bunch of gas cans, and the nerdy girl character, Kelly Maroney's character, steals a flare and like puts it in her bra, and then it just has it in her bra till like the end of the movie, which like I completely forget about every time. And I'm like, there's no way that's not like popping out of your shirt, or at least like uncomfortable.
It's definitely not comfortable in any capacity.
But so
the flare's like the size of my forearm. It's like an oversized flare.
Oh yeah,
it is huge. Enormous.
So they go out into the mall to find the guys, to where they stumble across some killbots, or one of the killbots, which then shoots the gas can that Susie has and just blows her up and lights her on fire. And I just wrote, Susie deserved it.
Come on, like, Susie. Hit your head.
Was totally in the clear, and it's just like, well, I gotta go make sure they're all right. And wanders back into this mall and just gets blown up and set on fire.
A good friend, but an idiot.
I think also this time is like at this time they show like they go cut back to the dudes, and like the one dude is trying to like square up the money he owes for beer in the middle of this like high stress situation with these robots.
Hey, you make it out of there. You're gonna need that extra cash, all right?
Oh, hey, you owe me $4.
That makes sense.
$4
before we die. I want you to know you owe me
that PBR money.
If you still owe me when you die, you're going to hell. Those are the rules.
And so I think after Susie's death is when you get they finally kill one of the killbots by putting a bunch of these like propane canisters on top of the elevator, and they trick this killbot to come into the elevator and blow it up inside the elevator, which rules. But they're also like all shooting at these fucking propane canisters for like a good 5 minutes, and nobody can hit it until the nerdy girl grabs a gun and can shoot it with one bullet because she has some kind of like police training from her dad, or like she said like CIA maybe, I don't know, some like crazy
something that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, especially for like everything you know about her character at this point.
Also, I was KGB. Oh, all right.
So they kill.
Cool.
KGB. She just like reveals herself as like a double agent to the government.
Suddenly a super thick Russian accent. It was KGB all the time.
That'd be amazing.
What?
Just Arnold shows up all of a sudden.
This is where the crossover happens.
So
they KGB.
Oh God! Why is this not a real movie? They kill this killbot, and they all go to hide in this like pizza restaurant full of movie posters. And for some reason, the one character is like totaling up how much money they would owe this mall for the destruction they've caused in like years. Because she says that like it would cost them 85 years of time to like pay this back. And I'm like, number one, you're being attacked by this mall's security robots. You're going to sue the fuck out of this mall and
absolutely
own it in like a week. But I can't imagine after any of this, the mall's going to be like, well, you stole some guns and blew up an elevator. You owe us this much money now.
You caused a lot of damage here.
And this is the point where they realize that they could go to the third floor, and like if they shut off the security computers, it'll shut off the killbots. And the one character goes, "Computer, huh? Let's go." Wait, what is it? Oh yeah, computer, huh? Let's go trash that fucker. And I think this is I think it's the same guy that like immediately runs out as they go to this third floor, and then the one dude immediately gets thrown off the third floor balcony and dies. Susie's boyfriend, I think, is who it was. And so I think at this point there are 4 characters left. You have the 2 nerds, and then like that weird couple like that have the tow truck that just kind of like fit into this for no reason. They're just kind of there.
Yeah.
Because like I constantly just forget they're even in the movie.
So this is where they devise their brilliant plan, right?
I think so. I just have my next note was that the robot, one of the killbots comes up the escalator, and I'm just like, this robot's wheels, like tank wheel things, like would never ever fit on one of these escalator steps.
He pops up like perfectly upright. It's not like he's at a slant or anything. It's just like, dude, what?
It's super weird. I think I would have liked it even better if they would have just rode up like in an elevator. Just had like a
or they
shot.
Could fly. They could fly suddenly.
I'm amazed that they
jet
can't.
packs.
Like that's like the only thing these robots can't do.
Hands up.
So what is their plan?
They set up a bunch of mannequins at the front of a department store, and they put some mirrors behind said mannequins, so they try and confuse the killbots, and they start firing wildly at these mannequins that are just dressed in, like, Tommy Bahama shirts. And then they pull the cover off of the mirrors once they start firing, so the laser beam will redirect back and murder one of the killbots.
Because I think this is when I just wrote, like, why are they still trying to shoot these robots? Like, it's not working. You're just wasting energy. But I guess, well...
That's what the mirror's for.
I guess whenever they get down to the last one, like, the one dude, like, shoots one of them in, like, the eyepiece, and it, like, busts its vision all up. But I think at some point, when they're in that department store, the tow truck lady... says the line, I guess I'm not used to being chased around the mall in the middle of the night by killer robots. I'm like, yeah, I would fucking hope so.
It's every Saturday, man.
Nobody should ever be used to that.
This again?
And so, they have this shootout, like you said, with like these fucking mannequins set up. And a tow truck lady gets shot and dies. And her boyfriend gets mad and jumps in the tiniest fucking cart. Like, right... this scene fucking... This is like the one scene in the movie that I'm just like, okay, this is fucking dumb as hell.
The one scene in Shopping Mall where I was like, this is pretty stupid.
I'm fully on board with everything else that happens except this. He's like having a firefight with this robot. Jumps into like a mall security guard like cart that is 4 feet from this fucking robot. And just gets in it and drives at it as slowly as possible, shooting at it for no fucking reason.
It's a max speed of like 6 miles an hour.
But he's also like right next to it. Like it makes zero sense other than the fact that you know they saw it and like they were just like, oh, like this will be production quality.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and use it.
Drive the 5 feet at this fucking robot and die. That scene makes me laugh like every time. I also started writing down like store names, because at this point you see the House of Almonds, and at some point you also come across you come across Music Box and Clock Shop.
Like, these were all real. Like
you could
all real shops, right?
You could literally just go to this mall and buy fucking anything, and like people were just willing to be like, oh, like popsicle stick store. Like, you can fucking sell anything.
Honey, I need to swing by the House of Almonds.
And so, I think at this point, you're down to the 2 nerds are the only ones that are alive. And they're being chased around by this robot. And they decide to split up. And you the one girl just yells, like, he's just like, let me know if you're in trouble, and she's like, oh, you'll hear me. And she's running, and the Killbot finds her after she opens a closet, just like, for some reason, full of like metal scraps. It's like,
as every mall has.
Yeah, it's inexplicable. Like, I don't like that. Other than to have that for like a weird jump scare of maybe you thinking it's a robot, I had no idea why that was even shot. But the robot finds her. She starts just wailing, and Ferdy shows up to save her. Eventually gets...
That's when he shoots it in the visor, right?
Yeah, that's when he like shoots it in the visor and kind
blinds
of...
it.
Doesn't even think he fucking blinds it as much as he just kind of inconveniences it, because then he
blinds.
The Killbot manages to throw like a fucking fire extinguisher or some shit straight into his chest, which, spoiler, doesn't actually kill him, because you see him at the end of the movie still alive, but like, you're supposed to like... For some reason his head busts open, but like his chest isn't just completely caved in.
The Killbots only have lasers. They don't have strength.
I guess. It also does have like weird Tom Servo arms from...
Yeah, except those dumb little arms. Can't really do anything.
Like, my favorite thing is when like anytime they like extend their arms and they're just kind of like this and like fucking goofy as shit.
Like weird, like Zoidberg crab walk kind of thing. Woo!
So all you're left now is Kelly Maroney's character, whatever the fuck, Kelly Maroney.
Her nameless character.
And she's kind of fleeing this one robot, and she's all like banged up from getting lasers shot at her and missing every time. And
traumatizing, alright?
Basically,
it takes a toll.
She makes it... Oh, no, she decides to try and escape, that she's just going to hang off the balcony of this fucking third floor thing.
It worked in Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. But, like, it's just, like, I like that every time you see her, she's looking up. You could tell she's just, like, her arms, there's no way she's hanging. She's just, like, using her forearms for strength.
Standing, yeah.
But then she eventually falls off this thing from, like, the third floor into, like...
It's like a sports memorabilia, like
I think there was I remember seeing a suitcase, so I know there's luggage, but either way, she falls straight onto her back into a bunch of shit, so she should be dead. Like, there's
she's like top of the tent, like it's fine. It's basically a trampoline.
They could have easily...
There's no metal bars or anything dangerous.
They should have crippled her, and then just
Jesus.
No, they should have. They should have crippled her and then just went into a sequel that was just like abominable, but just like this character, and then just like a Killbot like and like stalking her at the cabin.
I thought you were gonna go with like she loses like use of her legs, so they give her like tank treads like one of the Killbot, and she has to like go exact revenge on the corporation that buys out the Killbot tech for other malls across America.
I have like a
movie
and like an X-Men or some Marvel like toy from when I was a kid still that is a dude who's literally his bottom half is just a tank. And like that's all I can picture now.
I'd watch that movie.
Oh, I would too. So she's somehow not dead. Goes and hides in a pet store behind the smallest bag of pet food imaginable that somehow this Killbot can't find her. Which I guess that's the only time you're supposed to be aware that its vision is fucked up. Because for some reason she's like hiding under this shelf, right in front of it, with like a size of like dog food, like the size of a backpack in front of her, and this Killbot's just like, oh, I don't see anything.
Yeah, it's one of those like small like bags of cat food, you know.
It's just I just see.
It wouldn't hide me, and I'm a tiny human being.
Just spiders and snakes. That's all that's going on in this store. And so it leaves, and she comes out and wanders or chased into a like paint store. And this is where she comes up with the plan of spending a good hour and a half, I'm guessing, opening all of these paint and like paint thinner cans and pouring it all over the place to basically use the flare that's been in her bra this whole time, gets this killbot to, like, bust through the window and, like, get stuck on all this paint and then lights it on fire, and it just explodes in the biggest explosion that I can't imagine paint would make. Like,
I don't think there's going to be any kind of explosion. I think there's just going to be, some fire.
I don't think people that make movies understand how, like, chemistry works at all. Because, like, I believe, like, when the dude in, like, the, like, security guard cart gets shot, I believe that thing just fucking explodes into a fireball as well.
They really expect audiences to suspend their disbelief a lot.
I think, like, one of the, like, goofs or, like, whatever listed on IMDb is there's, like, this, somebody wrote, like, this huge thing about why when Susie gets shot, like, the gas can gets shot, like, she wouldn't have, like, exploded and necessarily burst into flames like that. And I just, like, I was amazed that somebody took the time to write this, like, 3-paragraph thing about, like, why that doesn't work.
This should have been our science segment this week. Well, I googled if the paint would explode.
Like, the paint would definitely light on fire. The paint
be on fire.
The paint thinner, like, maybe would have, like, not necessarily an explosion, but, like, you know how, like, if you light, like, a bunch of gas or something on fire, it'll have that kind of fireball.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a little whoosh.
Not like, you just...
It's not going to blow up a robot.
Threw a goddamn bomb into the paint store. But basically, she explodes this last robot, comes stumbling out, and sees Ferdy holding, like, a roll of toilet paper to the back of his fucking exposed skull, I'm guessing, because he was bleeding everywhere. And they live happily ever after, I can only assume, off the shit ton of money they made suing this mall and the company that made these killbots.
Yeah, they own them all now.
But you get...
They were going to let the Commando sequel film there until it fell through.
Very good credits of freeze frames on characters where you get the one girl's exploding head, which is totally worth watching the credits for.
A+.
But, yeah, that's Chopping Mall. This fucking movie is amazing. I can't stress it enough.
Easily the best one we've watched so far.
Yeah. And still somehow not the best of audience score. Because Rotten Tomatoes audience is the fucking worst for some reason.
Those Russian bots.
This is definitely a movie everybody should watch. It's
at least listen to the soundtrack too.
Oh yeah. And when I texted Kid about the soundtrack, he sent me like a quote that they'd re-released it. I think you said Waxworks.
Yeah, Waxwork Records did a release of the soundtrack on vinyl, and a quote from the director was let's call the artwork on it for what it is, a piece of shit. It's some pretty goofy, over the top artwork. It's from a art collective I think called We Buy Your Kids, and it's very like retro futuristic neon colors and shit like that. Very arcadey looking. And Jim Wynorski was not a fan.
Which, like, if you look at like a lot of the stuff Waxworks releases, they all have like saying it's fan art isn't right. Like, it's all very well done, but it's never like the cover of the movie like you would expect.
It's not original art. They get artists that are, fans and have an appreciation for it, and they do their own take on it.
Yeah, it's always usually really good. This one is definitely goofy.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, Jim did not, so...
Yeah, I'm fighting Jim over it. I'm going to fight him in the Sharkensaw women's prison.
Well, be careful, because one of my trivia notes was that Jim Wynorski does the Killbot voices.
Oh shit, really?
You're going to get a call in the middle of the night that's going to just be like, Kit,
Killbot,
have a nice day.
That'd be extremely dope, actually. Jim, if you're listening.
I think the only other kind of note I had that we hadn't already discussed because I had the movie posters written down and then Attack of the Crab Monsters and stuff. But like, I guess there's a store called Peckinpah Sports, which is like an obvious reference to director Sam Peckinpah. But that was like the only other kind of like trivia piece that I wrote down, because most of it was just like, oh, this is a reference to this movie. This is like, it's all just references to Roger Corman movies, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Chopping Mall. Definitely watch it. I do have kind of 3 sort of quick news things. Did you see the story about John Carpenter's remarks about the Big Trouble in Little China sequel?
Yes, and I love John Carpenter so much.
I do too.
He does not give a shit, and it rules.
I also think it's funny.
Goals. Goals, as the kids say.
I saw a story where somebody was asking him about making movies, and he was like, "Well, I'm watching basketball and playing video games. Yeah. I'm good." But I did not know that this was even a thing that was happening.
I remember hearing about it years and years ago, where, it was kind of one of the first things that The Rock got involved with as he was becoming like, super mega billionaire star, before he was involved in like literally everything. And I guess it's just been kind of on the back burner for a while. But
I can't imagine it's like
fine. It should stay there.
I can't imagine it's high priority, because it's like that movie's got a big cult following, but was like a massive failure in theaters.
Yeah.
But what's weird is, like, if you would have told me they're doing a flat out remake of Big Trouble in Little China with The Rock, I would have been like, I will watch the shit out of that just out of like curiosity, because like seeing The Rock play like Jack Burton would be super interesting. But making it like a direct sequel that's like The Rock playing a new character, where it's just like another story in the universe,
kind of weird.
Basically all that means is that they just want to capitalize off the name Big
they just
Trouble
want
in
the
Little
name.
China. But John Carpenter was just like, yeah, this is garbage, fuck this movie.
Yeah.
So John Carpenter, forever my hero. And in other John Carpenter news, I saw this today, was that Jeff Bridges apparently has been talking about how he wants to do a Starman sequel.
Starman is one of very few Carpenter movies I haven't actually seen.
It's good, but it's like very left field.
Very different. Yeah, I'll say it seems very different. I think that's kind of why I'd never like sought it out.
Just Jeff Bridges is fucking amazing in it. Like it's really good. It's definitely worth a watch. But it's just interesting that like Jeff Bridges all of a sudden is just like, yeah, I want to do a
Starman sequel. Why not?
Another movie that like didn't really do very well, but fuck it, let's do a sequel.
Why not?
And then the last thing I had was did you see the story about Tilda Swinton's character being revealed in Suspiria, that her secondary character?
No, I was avoiding it. I was like, I don't give a shit. I just want to see the movie. Don't tell me anything about it.
It's not like it's nothing like plot wise, but like it was revealed that she's also like, on top of whatever other character she's playing like the old man in the movie. And they showed like pictures of her in this old man makeup, and it is fucking astounding. Like, you would never in a million years realize Tilda Swinton was playing that character.
It's like she's doing it for fun. Like,
I guess, I don't know. Like, just
like, hey Tilda, do you want to play this weird old man in the movie?
But like, I guess like,
if it has no plot bearing,
like,
it's real weird.
The only reason like it got any sort of news story is that like, I guess it came out too that she had like a prosthetic penis she wore anytime she was like filming as this guy too. And like, I don't know, like I didn't even fucking pay attention to any of that. I just saw the picture and I was like, that's fucking amazing. Like, when you look at the picture, like, never in a million years, it's just like, oh yeah, it's Tilda Swinton. It's pretty crazy. So I thought that was kind of interesting that she's apparently playing two characters in this movie.
I saw something about it whenever it first like broke, and I avoided it because I was like, if it has something to do with plot or anything, like, I'm not going to risk it. I don't want to know.
The one thing I saw was just like, it showed like the picture, and it was just like Tilda Swinton also playing like this character, and I was like, oh, weird. So like, it wasn't even like clickbaity. It was just like flat out like she's playing this character too, as opposed to being like, you'll never guess this like major plot point of Suspiria, or like how every time a Marvel movie comes out like a week before, it's just like spoiler. Look at
what Mark Ruffalo ruined.
It's not. It's always just like I had to like unfollow a bunch of like comic book news sites because it would just constantly be like, spoiler dies in next movie, and then just flat out show the picture of that character. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
it doesn't do any good to say spoiler if you show it.
Yeah. And so that was pretty much the news. But my wife had been out of town for the last couple of days, so I watched like a fuck ton of movies because I normally don't get to. And so I was gonna talk about some. Did you watch any? Like, what have you been watching?
I kind of been all over the place. Like, last night I watched The Guest and You're Next. Had myself a little Adam Wingard-thon. Other than that, just kind of whatever's on Shudder. What I watched the night before? Child's Play. Slither.
Oh, there was another thing as you brought up Child's Play. Like, I didn't read the story, but apparently, like, whatever the sequel that like is following Cult of Chucky is now like a TV show, or like they're trying to make it a TV show. That like
the Child's Play saga is getting very strange.
It's fucking crazy because like when I first saw the story, I was like, is there a third fucking Child's Play like thing in the works? But I guess it's like the director and writer of like the first one, like whoever's like continuing the saga of like the original, I guess is working it as a TV show now or something, where since like Chucky can now just inhabit anybody, it's just going to be like different people and different storylines of like this Cult of Chucky, which is kind of weird. Interesting.
It's going to be like the Friday the 13th TV show.
Yeah, except I guess having like a continuity to it.
I don't
know. Oh yeah, well,
I'm skeptical of that concept.
I've been skeptical of like every remake or every sequel to Child's Play, and then I eventually watch it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of awesome. So I'll watch that. But
as long as Brad Dourif is there, I'm in.
So I started my like week watching a bunch of garbage movies that like Amazon Prime had, where Elvira. Like 13 Nights of Elvira.
Oh, yeah.
It's mostly, I think, like a bunch of like full moon stuff, and then like the last one was like Night of the Living Dead or something. But the first one I watched was Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
Starring Bill Maher.
Yeah. Which was fucking terrible. And like the only thing making it any bit redeeming was Elvira popping in every like 15 minutes. But I also watched Puppet Master like that too.
Oh yeah, Puppet Master is fucking great.
Yeah. And then I watched a movie called Final Exam.
I've heard that's good. I've never seen it.
I don't know if good is the right term, but if you're
not like good.
If you're looking like for like just
our good,
yeah. If you're just looking for like a dumb slasher to watch, it's pretty good.
Always. I'm always looking for a dumb slasher to watch.
And then I watched The Town That Dreaded Sundown, the 70s one.
I've been meaning to watch that too.
I've seen the remake.
I wanted to see the original because I liked the concept for the remake so much.
Yeah.
Because the concept for the remake was that the original movie actually happened, and then the remake is just like copycat killer, right?
Yeah, and it's because like the original one is set up sort of like it's a documentary. It's weird, like it's basically the movie's playing out, but then periodically there's just like voiceover stuff explaining shit like it's a documentary. It's very oddly set up, but it's pretty good. And then I like the remake a lot. The remake's really good. This one is just like very like 70s slasher.
Yeah.
So it's like not good, but kind of awesome. And then I watched Suspiria and The Thing and They Live in like a triple header the other night. And then I spent like one day pretty much just watching, like, I realized like 90% of Troma's catalog was on Amazon Prime. And just fucking, I watched Greetings from Tromaville, which I'd never seen, which was a documentary about Lloyd Kaufman, which is pretty fascinating because it just goes basically into like his story and how you become like the dude spearheading like independent cinema for like 40 years or some shit.
Yeah.
And then I fell into this like the customers also watch section of Amazon Prime movies is always the best way to just find like absolute gold.
Trash.
Yeah, because
Trash gold.
Then I fell into like 2 or 3 like documentaries about like the fall of VHS and like how it's kind of coming back thanks to like horror movies. And basically it was just all this shit. Like I ended up watching all these documentaries just based on the fact that they had like Lloyd Kaufman in it.
Yeah.
But there was one I watched, I think it was, I don't know, they all had like VHS Massacre and like titles like that. But one of them was really interesting because they start asking about like streaming and how like streaming services, like how that's impacting companies that like mostly focus on like, physical stuff. And it was just like real fascinating watching like listening to Lloyd Kaufman talk about like the future of like physical media and like streaming and how all of this stuff has like impacted like film from somebody that has been doing it for like 40 years, like 40 plus years at this point.
Yeah.
So that was like the VHS Massacre was really good because it's basically I think it was like these dudes that have a podcast that just like one guy made a movie and he was like, well, let's go to like a bunch of stores because I think they were in like New Jersey, like New York City area where like video stores kind of still exist. And they were just like, let's go to a bunch of video stores like around the country and see if we can find your movie and just talk to people about VHS and shit. And it was pretty fascinating because it was also like every store they went to, there would just be like a PS that was just like, this store shut down like a month after we came here.
Fuck. That's
and
really
like,
sad.
They go to like one of the last like 3 blockbusters that like existed whenever they made it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was fascinating. And then like, but they all like, they end it talking about how like found footage festivals and shit like that and like people that have like started doing like VHS only releases of movies and stuff that has kind of how like vinyl kicked back in.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's fascinating. And I think the last thing I wrote down was the movie that I texted you about on Shudder called Night of Something Strange.
Oh yeah.
That was fucking bonkers. Like, it's a movie that I think at some point we should try to do for this, just because I would love to hear like your reaction to it, because it's basically just like an STD that turns people into zombies that are like sex crazed. Because like instead of like biting people, like the way they transfer it is basically by like raping people. Like it's fucking nuts, but it's like super goofy at the same time, because it's like like all of the characters are like overly stereotypical. Like the one character in it is like supposed to be like the like jock tough guy of the school,
right?
That is like constantly like sex crazed and is like constantly hitting on his girlfriend. And like the one scene in it that like I was just like, this movie is out of its fucking mind, was like he's constantly picking on this one, like the one fat kid that every group of kids in high school has as a friend for some reason.
Just to pick
like,
on.
They always have like the one screech of the group, but this one was just like an overweight kid that constantly gets made fun of. And he gets like attacked or whatever and is like slowly turning into a zombie, but like this one like dickhead kid comes into the room and he's like thinks it's his girlfriend, and then basically just like starts like fucking this kid in the ass, and like the dude like turns into like a zombie in the middle of it, and the dude gets stuck like trapped. His dick gets like trapped in this kid's ass and is just being like dragged around like that for like 20 minutes.
What in the fuck?
It's fucking nuts. But he also dies by like he's like stuck next to this. He's stuck in this kid and gets like dragged through a door and gets broken in half because he like, gets just like pulled. It's fucking.
Fuck?
It's like. It's almost like on the level of somebody was trying to make something as crazy as like Dead Alive now, but like not as good. It's real bad, but also kind of like a fascinating watch because it's just like everything that happens, you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, that was pretty much it. I watched a bunch of fucking Toxic Avenger, and like Class of Nukem High and shit when I was watching Troma stuff. And the one movie they didn't have that I really want to do that I can't find anywhere is Killer Condom, because that movie is amazing in the worst way. That's pretty much it. I had like 2 things that I wanted to kind of shout out. Like, one of them is this film fest in Alberta, Canada, that Nicole, the singer for this band I Hate Sex that I'm real into, is doing, called Not Your Final Girl Film Fest. That is like 3 days, 3 movies, where it's Friday, October 26th is Ginger Snaps, and they're going to have like a Q&A with Karen Walton, like I guess through Skype or something like that. Afterwards, on Saturday the 27th, they're doing Suspiria. And then on Sunday the 28th of October, it's Good Night Mommy. And the entire like idea of this film fest is like, I wrote down like let's see, Not Your Final Girl Fest is a weekend celebration of contemporary and classic film, providing engaging discourse and cultural reflection on feminist cinema within horror and genre film. And like, I don't know, it sounds like real interesting. I like the idea of a film fest that's kind of focused on like not like general like girls getting chased down and getting killed for like having sex and kind of your typical shit. But yeah, that's happening. If anybody listening to this is actually in like Edmonton on October 26th through 28th, you should definitely go to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Looks fun. I would 100% go if it wasn't.
Yeah, if I could make it to Canada in a week and a half.
Not, thousands of miles from me. But you could find more on that, like on their Twitter at NYFG Film Fest. I had like tweeted about it before, where I was like, oh, if anybody's going to this, like, and wants to like do like a recap and like send it in to us, maybe we'll play it. And they were just like, well, have us on. And I was like, fuck, I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but I just have not had fucking time to try and like do anything. So I figured I would at least give that a shout out, just because that's a good thing happening in the world that people should support. And then this account followed our Twitter account, and I was immediately fascinated by the name. It's a podcast called Are You Afraid of the Bark? And it is a
dog horror movies?
It's a podcast about, it's like paranormal stories, but like animal paranormal stories. And like I had a back and forth with Michelle Olsen, the woman behind it, and like immediately listened. Like there's only 8 episodes so far, and they're only about 25 minutes each, so that are like real, like easily digestible, and it is really good. Like I burned through all of it in like a night at work, and it's like fascinating. And like I guess she works at like an aquarium, so she has like because she listened to like after our back and forth, she listened to our episode of Bait, and she was just like, this movie sounds fascinating, and like was like kind of talking about like, working at this aquarium and whatnot. And I was like, we need to have you on this podcast so we could discuss this fucking shark suit after you watch this movie, because I would love to know the logistics of how this would fucking work in real life.
And have her watch a Hammerhead Shark Frenzy.
I I'm contemplating next time like we have any sort of shark movie of reaching out and seeing if she wants to guest on it, because like I was looking at stuff on Amazon Prime today and I came across Sand Sharks.
It's bad.
Like, oh god, I watched the trailer. It looks so good. And then
Ever watch Ghost Shark 2, Urban Jaws?
There are so many fucking shark movies. It's crazy.
It's hard to keep up, but I try. God damn it.
Like, just, that's, like, I think through Sand Sharks is how I came across that Killer Piñata movie I sent you the trailer for, that I was like, this is fucking terrible. But, yeah, like, if people are interested in, like, paranormal stuff, you should definitely check out Are You Afraid of the Bark? It is really good and gets a thumbs up for me. It has, like, the greatest fucking podcast name I've ever heard. Like, that alone, like, if I would have just stumbled across that regardless of her, like having the back and forth with her and stuff, I would have fucking checked it out, because I was like, that's a genius name. But I think that's all I had. Unless you had anything you wanted to talk about.
I got nothing. I'm a boring person.
Yeah, so next week we are watching Demons.
Demone.
Yeah. Shane Mathis from Full Metal Hipster should be on that one. We'll see. I say should, like he said he's going to, but you know, things happen. But regardless, we're going to talk about it either way, because that movie rules, and it's currently streaming on Shudder. So Shudder,
sponsor us, Shudder.
Where the fuck you at? Where's our sponsorship? Everybody tweet at Shudder and tell them to sponsor us. And then
favorite running joke.
Yeah. The week after that, the Halloween week episode, we're doing Uwe Boll's House of the Dead, and I'm only alive getting to that week, because I can't fucking wait to talk about that movie and Uwe Boll in general, because it's going to be fucking amazing. Because I know you said you haven't seen House of the Dead. I don't know if you know much about Uwe Boll or not. But
yes.
He is a fucking dude.
Very aware of his career and insane personal life.
Like, just to tease a little bit of what I really want to talk about with that is the fact that he challenges movie critics that don't like his movies to boxing matches. And it fucking is fascinating. And he also made a movie with Nicolas Cage that is absolutely terrible, but Nicolas Cage is in it, so obviously you gotta watch it. I think it's Season of the Witch. There's like 5 Seasons of the Witch movies. I think that's what it's called, but every time I see Season of the Witch, I just think of Halloween, so...
The only important one.
Yeah. But yeah, that's next week's Demons, and then House of the Dead, and then... I think the only other stuff we necessarily have planned is I know for Thanksgiving we're gonna do Thanksgiving. And probably just a bunch of garbage Christmas movies.
Absolutely. Like, Santa Sleigh.
Yeah, like, oh, dude, I can't. Fucking Santa Sleigh is going to be so good, because I've never actually seen that, and I can't wait.
It's great.
I remember seeing that at, like, a family video, and just being like, what the fuck is this? Oh, I forgot to mention, Are You Afraid of the Bark? Their Twitter is @AfraidOfTheBark, so, yeah, check them out. Anyway. We are now on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. So, I don't know why you're not giving us 5 stars and talking about how good our accents are yet, but you should probably do that. Because apparently iTunes reviews are like very important based on every other podcast I listen to. So, I don't know. Listen to us on those. Give us reviews.
Give us compliments.
Subscribe,
we're soft.
Yeah. We're fragile. Say nice things about us.
Please.
Yeah. And then you can follow us on Facebook at I Hope You Suffer Pod and Twitter at I Hope You Suffer. And that's all I got.
Same.
All right. I hope you suffer, but why?
But why?